You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast.
Delivering player experience news.
Let's go!
What are we? Some kind of podcast? And welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 226. I am one of your hosts, video essayist and video producer at DualShockers from Portland, Oregon, Christian Macias, and I'm joined over Discord by Kentucky's #1 Spartan and #1 hater, PXN founder, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM.
#1 hater? What?
I never forget. What was said in the pre-show.
Wow. Everyone put your helmet on.
Nice.
How?
Additionally, the president of the Tifa Lockhart fan club, he's a Nintendo aficionado and artist extraordinaire at Roro.
Hello.
Green screen guru. Just remember that one. Rounding out the crew today, of course, the man in the shades, one half of the Men Engage podcast, Battlefield's bad boy, the tarnished Teletubby himself, Gage Dempster. Should we kiss?
We should.
Nice. How about that True Detective, huh?
Cool. I'm waiting.
Jesus Christ.
Wow. I felt that.
I did too. I felt like when you zap somebody when you've got like electricity built up. I felt the little spark.
Yeah, because we have chemistry. Folks, thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we're live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And actually today, it was a little bit late, personal reasons. And on youtube.com/podcast, at Podcast PXN, as well as twitch.tv/Podcast PXN as well. Topic of the show this week is our Suicide Squad alpha test impressions. Yes, we can actually talk about them now, but first, the show always starts with a quick bite, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Folks, it seems as if the Indiana Jones game coming to Xbox, made by, was it Machine Games?
Yep.
May have leaked. The title for the game may have leaked. According to Hurakasis on Twitter, he says, I might have found the official title of Bethesda's Indiana Jones game developed by Machine Games, called Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Lucasfilm registered several domains on January 9th, 2024 with that title, such as Indiana Jones and the Great Circle game.com. Seems like that might be the title coming up. Exciting?
Hell yeah. One more day till we get to see this. I'm excited. I love the Wolfenstein games. Machine Games doing great work. I can't wait to see the tech that this game has, like visual fidelity. It's gonna be interesting to see gameplay tomorrow. I'm excited.
And gameplay is confirmed, correct, for tomorrow's Developer Direct? Well, You know what? Save that for our PXN News of the Week. We got more coming up later. Until then, I forgot about the studio, Ripple Effect. These were ex-Battlefield devs. And by the way, I think it was Ro or Gage mentioned how sick of a name Ripple Effect is as a studio, and I agree. That is a cool name for a studio. Ripple Effect's upcoming game is aiming for the most realistic destruction effects in the industry. This is going to be really exciting in conversation with the finals, which I don't know. I'm not a tech whiz, but whatever they figured out to get their tech running on an engine that looks like Frost engine on the destruction of that level is already impressive. What else can other developers do with stuff in that realm? And I think ex-Battlefield devs coming in to make a game like this is going to be really cool to see how it pans out.
Ripple Effect, is that the studio that's heading up the single-player Battlefield experience, or is that the next main line?
Yeah, Ripple Effect is the single player one from Marcus Lado.
Okay.
I believe, right? Am I mistaken?
I know it was renamed. It was one of the DICE studios that was renamed to Ripple Effect.
You're right. It is DICE
It was
LA.
DICE LA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then they're working on the main line?
That's a good question. I don't know.
That's So if this is the single player game, I could see them being able to take it a step further, obviously, because you've got a lot less to worry about in terms of network and multiplayer and all instancing and all that fun stuff. But
I'm so dumb. I thought Ripple Effect was a standalone studio, but they're working on a standalone game in the Battlefield franchise.
Right. Yes, there's a big single player Battlefield experience that's been in the oven for quite a while. Like Dan says, headed by one of the godfathers of Halo. Yeah, I'm really excited to see that, because when it comes to destruction in video games, there's like two different aspects. There's like the fidelity of the destruction, which I think, like, I think back to Red Faction Guerrilla as one of the best games ever to do that, where you can just take apart buildings brick by brick. And the other part is like how it feels. So like, the finals doesn't have the same level of fidelity, in my opinion, as a game like Red Faction Guerrilla. But the reason why it's so impressive is that it seems like there's not a second of lag between a building half crumbling and your character being able to just completely walk on it. Everything is like exactly where it's supposed to be in terms of the network. So like, those two pieces of the puzzle, bringing them together, it's very, very exciting in terms of like the possibilities. So I'm hopeful that whatever Ripple Effects cooking is some good stuff.
I think previously Dice LA, formerly Dice LA, now Ripple Effect, I think they were mainly a support studio too, because they worked on Battlefield 4, Battlefield Hardline, Battlefield 1, and Battlefield 5, and Battlefield V, whatever you want to call it. Battlefield Hardline was developed mainly by Visceral Games.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, so it seems like they've traditionally just been a support studio for Dice, the main Dice Stockholm office, I think, or somewhere overseas. Yeah, so it'll be interesting on them working on their own project.
I'm going to add too that I think if it is mostly going to be like a single player experience, that's exciting for me as like a returning Battlefield fan who has missed like what these single player experiences look like. Obviously, like Bad Company 2 is the one we point toward as like that is like peak campaign from Battlefield. But I'm going to throw out special shout outs to Battlefield 3, which I really enjoyed the kind of grounded nature of that approach. Like, was just like that like opening mission, like in the Middle East when you're like crawling from the sniper. That section is cool. But even Battlefield 4's opening like set piece with like the building crumbling on top of you, like that stuff is just like impressive. And that's from a generation of consoles now. What, like that was like 10 years ago almost at this point, you know?
Right.
What is that going to look like in 2024, 2025, et cetera? Like that's exciting.
For sure.
Next item here, and this is what I alluded to just as right before we started. Shadow of the Erd Tree coming soon? Question mark. New evidence suggests that Bandai Namco and From Software could be preparing to reveal Elden Ring's long-awaited expansion soon. Daniel, what? Sorry? Oh, he's just
cheering.
According to a Steam data tracker, it recently added unknown app 2778580 to Elden Ring's DLC section, making its first update in 15 months. And then the plot thickened an hour ago. I just looked on Twitter. This is a tweet from Ziostorm. The Bandai Namco America Elden Ring playlist was updated today.
Mm-hmm.
Plot thickens. Thanks to Yuri Brando for pointing it out. So it seems like they're getting ready for some kind of announcement soon. That's crazy. The world is going to stop for me when that comes out.
There's a couple of more tidbits too. There's a it's a company that's partnered with, they're like a collectibles company, something akin to like Dark Horse or something like that. They said that they've got a Elden Ring collectible coming out in February. So there's a lot of things lining up, a lot of little things lining up, and it looks, I mean, February would be a good month, the 2-year anniversary of the game releasing. I think we might be in for some tarnished goodies soon.
Hell yeah. This is also great for me. This is a non sequitur, but I'm working on a From Software project for a video. So like that timing could not be better for me. Hell yes. Can't wait. Here's a nice note. Well, I guess not really nice. The year started with a massive earthquake in Japan. This is like literally January 1st. A massive earthquake hit some of the shores of Japan. Now, Nintendo is donating 50 million Japanese yen to support earthquake victims and is offering free repairs to those affected. The equivalent is $340,000, a large sum of money to those in the Noto Peninsula of Japan. Very cool to see something on that front where support is being given from a giant corporation.
Definitely. I remember when what was it? Epic Games did something similar for the Ukraine situation. I think Nintendo and Pokemon Company did something similar. I don't remember what the situation was, but yeah, like you were saying, just echoing everything you're saying, pretty much. It's always good when the people who have the money do something good with it instead of just hoarding it for themselves. So that's good.
Here's an odd one, maybe even a dumb one. Take-Two has filed a trademark dispute over Remedy's new logo, saying it's too similar to Rockstar's. Remedy is working with Rockstar on Max Payne remake, despite the dispute. Of course, the the discrepancy comes from both of the studios using the letter R in their logo. I hope Rockstar loses this. I hope Take-Two loses this.
Yeah,
if it goes to court or whatever.
Somebody had a good tweet about it where it's like, please let this go to court and let Remedy win so they can boost the budget of their next Control game or whatever game they're working on. You know what I mean? Get some money from this. It's ridiculous. Not only does the logo look nothing alike, especially in terms of like graphic design, like they look nothing alike, but somebody recently put up that I've never noticed this before, but Take-Two's logo looks suspiciously similar to Terminator 2 Judgment Day with their styling of logo. And that's I just thought that was kind of hilarious. And Take-Two is kind of they've pulled shit like this in the past, and this is obviously ridiculous. It's weird that big companies always do shit like this, especially Take-Two. It's like you're working with these. There's so many different caveats where it's like you're working with these people. You have billions of dollars. Why? What are you doing?
The other thing is Remedy's main logo has their name literally written under the fucking R. Like, how is that confusing? It says Remedy.
Yeah, it's not like they can confuse it with Rockstar when the name is...
Yeah.
I hope Rockstar loses and gets a new letter to use in their logo. This one right here. Is this showing on my camera? Anyway. Moving on, second to last, quick bite here. Square Enix has confirmed that its upcoming multiplayer game, Foam Stars, does indeed contain some AI-generated art. And the game's development team is using Midjourney to create some in-game icons. Again, off the backs of, the finals. A lot of praise in terms of like gameplay front, from development front. Like, people really enjoy that game. If there's any one criticism we've seen coming out of the finals, it's its use of AI voices now in like the released version of that game. And yes, they're still working to like remove those and get some actual voice actors, but still the fact that like that happened when we get it for like beta builds, alpha builds, whatever. But a released product, gray area there. Square Enix just fully leaning into like, no, we're gonna use a platform that actually plagiarizes and steals from actual artists to use as art in our game, and that kind of practice is, I think, for me, not a good one.
Right. This is the beginning of it. We're only going to see more and more of it, unfortunately, because I think the time has passed. I think it's long past, but because legislators didn't do anything when this stuff was up and coming. So now it's here, and it's here to stay. I think, unfortunately, and super, super disappointing to see all these big game companies that make lots of money try to use it as an excuse for, we just can't do it any other way. I don't believe you. So
because you've been doing it the other way this entire time
for all of human history. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. I think as Gage said, I think it's here to stay, and I think it's only going to increase as time goes on. I think it is worth noting that the AI in this particular instance is, they claim 0.0.1% of the game. Like, most of it is created by human people, is what they're saying. But as Gage said, once you incorporate this, once you like open the gate for it, it's only going to increase from here. So even though they're saying, it's just a little bit right now, in the future, without a doubt, I'm sure it's going to be more.
0.01%. That definitely sounds like a real number that they quantified and measured. Definitely sounds real and not like trying to downplay. Yeah, I'd love to see the chart and how that. I want to see the pie chart and how that breaks down. 0.01%. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with all of you. And the funny part is that this popped up on my timeline from the Halo community because they were mad that this gun that she's holding looks like the Needler with like the canisters on the top.
A kid-friendly Needler. I did see that too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the only franchise this game has been accused of stealing from.
When you leave the creative decisions up to an algorithm, that's probably going to happen. And this is apparent to everyone except for executives, which is the crux of all of our issues.
I actually didn't include this in Quick Bites, but earlier in the week, a Ubisoft executive said that us as gamers, as consumers of video game products, need to be getting used to the concept of a subscription only like model moving forward, like where the concept of owning games is no longer the future, right? Like games that we buy don't actually belong to us. To which then Larian Studios' Sven tweeted it publicly on Twitter and was like, this is not only like antithetical to like everything that is art, it's also bad for like business or like for the development side, where like decisions for what is going to be in a game or what games get made are left entirely up to like studio executives based on what they think is going to do well on like those supposed subscription platforms. And it's like this would not and will not work if this is the path like companies move forward. I gotta praise Sven for coming out publicly and being like, no, shut up. This is horrible.
This is what needs to happen. This is what I've said about like I've maybe it's an unfair example, but I've used Neil Druckmann as an example where it's like people that are creatives that have now worked their way up into executive positions need to put their foot down and say and protect the creative process. And it's really cool to see this guy doing it because Baldur's Gate 3 is an anomaly. It is a niche game that blew the fuck up because it put players first, it put gameplay first, core ideas first, and they were rewarded for it. It's almost like making something that's quality and like follows the creative process is a good creative thing. And again, this is news to no one except people that don't think like that. So very cool to see him say this. Like I said, this is not my type of game at all. I don't know if I'll ever get into it, but I love these guys. I love what they stand for, and I love the impact that they're having. Even if it's small, even if it's not enough, they're doing the right thing, and that should definitely be acknowledged and supported.
Our final quick bite, the movie update. And now you may be asking, why? This is a video game podcast. Why are you telling me about movies? Well, let me tell you, Peter. John.
Peter.
Garrett.
Genki?
Charles, Glenn, Genki. There's a video game movie in the works. It's an adaptation of Until Dawn, and it's being helmed by David F. Sandberg, the director of films such as, get ready, folks, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Annabelle Creation, Lights Out, and others.
So he had one hit.
He did, yeah.
3 swings and 1 hit. So that's
that is a strikeout.
Which one is a
strike? That's true. He would have struck out before he got the 4th hit. The Lights Out. Lights Out was a fun spooky movie.
I haven't seen Lights Out, so I'll take your word for it.
It was. It's fun. It's worth a watch.
Teresa Palmer. I haven't seen her in stuff in a long time. She's good. Sorry, on aside. Gary Doberman is the screenwriter, I think, behind this project, and he has helmed films such as It, I think the 2018 remake. Yeah, that makes sense. Annabelle and The Nun. Oh, I'm sorry. He's doing a pass on the script originally written by Blair Butler, so he's doing rewrites.
Oh.
I had nothing to add. I just thought, like, okay, there's another Sony movie in the works now. Am I excited? No.
Are there any?
I like Gran Turismo though.
Okay, there we go.
I liked it more than fucking Michael Mann's Ferrari, dude. That's
And Until Dawn is a pretty basic story, like in terms of it's just a bunch of teenagers out in the woods. Like
here's the thing, Dan. Here's the weird thing. Until Dawn was a game that is like, we're going to make a game that is based on all like the tropey stuff from like teen horror movies.
Yeah.
So now it's like going full circle. They're just going back to making a tropey teen horror movie. Well, that like unironically though, is that gonna work? I don't know. We'll see. I'm just a cynic at heart. Some street meat here that Dan is going to be certainly passionate about. Guys, is the Tatanka project canceled? The Halo Battle Royale, Certain Affinities Project Tatanka. Is that actually canceled? If so, when did that happen? That happened recently? No.
Dan is the oracle of all Halo things, so the answer lies within him.
Where oracle is that?
This is such a shitty setup for me, but I think someone posted an article or something happened this week where it's like, hey, the Halo Battle Royale project has been officially shelved. We're hearing, but really, like, that is not what a streamer said at all. And you know how discourse goes. Daniel, do you have any clarity for us? What are we thinking here?
Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit in our chat, but like it was funny to see this because the people that IGN and all these people that ran with this story were pulling from was the Xbox Era podcast, where this dude was talking about the idea that Tatanka would be canceled, and it was based on the reports that we got last year about it possibly being canceled. So like all these articles started popping up saying that this person on Xbox Era confirmed that Project Tatanka is canceled. It's like, that's not what he said. And the Xbox Era podcast even tweeted out, they're like, that's literally not what he said. Like, what are you guys talking about? So yeah, I don't think that this is, one way or another, more or less evidence of it being canceled, because this is just people like us, for instance, talking about whether or not it's canceled based on previous reports. However, I would not be surprised if it actually is canceled or transitioned to the next Halo game, because we do know 343 has started hiring for the next Halo game. Of course, they had all the layoffs in 2022 for the campaign staff, so now they're staffing back up to work on the next game. So it would not surprise me to see Certain Affinity kind of transition their resources to that game.
Right, and the key thing being there is that both Tatanka and the next Halo game being built in Unreal Engine 5. So it would be not only possible, but theoretically fairly easy to just give those assets to 343.
Although there was a lot of back and forth on the rumors on whether or not it was actually in Unreal Engine for Tatanka, because originally it was built with Infinite's engine, Slipspace engine, and then there was rumors that it switched to Unreal, but then other people said it wasn't switched to Unreal, so who the fuck knows?
Right.
That's actually exactly why I inserted this into Street Meat, is because of that conversation that you guys just mentioned. If it was actually canceled, and if they are moving into support to help 343's next mainline Halo game, whenever that timeline actually was, is that to you, Daniel and Gage, more exciting as Halo fans than what would have been a battle royale project? The thing that I posited over on our private Twitter chat was like, there is the possibility, like, if they were working on a battle royale project for so long, that it could release and be kind of stale, or it could do well for a couple of months and then die off, because the market is already super saturated with those kinds of games. And we see games like Foam Stars coming out. Like, is that going to be exciting? Maybe for a while, and then that dies down, and servers get canceled, whatever. It could be like a trend chasing thing. Maybe it's actually better that they what's the phrase here? Nip it in the bud, so to speak, to work on bolstering another mainline Halo title. And of course, the discourse in the Halo series is like, Infinite didn't hit on launch, so you need something to like win folks back, win the larger audience back to the actual mainline series. And having more support to do so could be a good thing.
I think the key also is time, because there was a long period of time between Halo 5 and Halo Infinite, from 2015 to 2022, 7 years with no Halo projects anywhere in there. Well, Halo Wars 2, I guess, but that doesn't obviously that's not a mainline game. So I definitely think that spacing it out more by not releasing this battle royale is smarter in terms of getting the mainstream people back interested again when they decide to release another game, 4 or 5 years from now, whenever that is, because there will be more time away from the last game, so there will be more attention focused towards this new project as opposed to just something added on to Halo Infinite.
Right. I think with it's unfortunate as a Halo fan because the aesthetic of Halo and the lore is really well suited to a battle royale. Like if you're a Halo fan and you're in the community, everyone's talked about it to death. Where it's like, yeah, coming in with the ODST drop pods and the shield system and all that stuff already built in, it would have lent itself really, really nicely to a battle royale. But I think with the momentum that Infinite's getting, it's almost like that ship has passed, and I think your resources would be better spent on like nailing the core gameplay loop, which Infinite kind of has, putting it into a better engine, which again, I agree with Dan, we don't know how Unreal will suit Halo, but let's assume that it's just a better optimized engine. If you can take the lessons you've learned with Infinite, package it in a much more polished, much more performance-based engine and ship it to the masses, that's a much better use of 343's time, I think, than a battle royale, which again, that genre has kind of been overplayed now at this point.
One more thing as well to add on to that, Gage. I don't think that Certain Affinity is big enough to support a battle royale anyways in an ongoing fashion.
Yes.
They're a very small independent developer in terms of like the wider industry. So yeah, it would have been very difficult for them to continuously support a ongoing game like that and have it living alongside another ongoing game in the same franchise with Infinite. So
in which case you don't want to, and another problem is cannibalizing your own your player base, right? Your own numbers. Yeah. And no matter which way you spin it, even if they were to launch the game and then pass it off to 343 for post-launch support, well then that takes away from Infinite, it takes away from the next Halo game. So no matter which way you spin it, I think this ship has sailed. They missed it. It sucks kind of because like it would have been cool to come in on ODST drop pods, but it's like, is that enough to even sustain an entire game around that? I don't know. So I think if it has been canceled, it's probably the right call, and I would hope that they were both built in Unreal Engine 5 only for the fact that, similar to the Naughty Dog situation, that it was just not wasted resources. Like that would be the best outcome in my mind, but even if it is, I think it's probably for the best.
Sorry, one more thing, I swear to God, but that just brought something else in my mind. The other thing is they could bring the assets, if it was originally built in the Infinite engine, into Infinite's multiplayer, because 343 did make a mode called Last Spartan Standing, which is very similar to a battle royale except on a smaller scale. So they could totally bring in some of those assets and bring that mode back, because they shelved it temporarily because it had its own issues. So maybe that would be a thing for a future season to come back as well.
For sure. Yeah. Also, just acknowledging Natalie in the chat saying the battle royale genre is insanely overplayed. Unfortunately, it's gotten to that point. Yeah, it's definitely gotten to that point now. So,
yeah, why don't you stick with your little Overwatch 2s and your little DPS and your tank self healing. Now we had a private chat about how the upcoming changes to Season 9 are leaving a lot of Overwatch fans questioning where the game direction is going with Overwatch 2, and I'm one of them.
They're just questioning it now with Season 9. Haven't we done this before?
No, well,
haven't we done?
Right,
haven't we done self healing and then back and then
you know
6 players and then 5 players and then now this? Come on, just give up.
They changed quick play last week to quicker play. It was hacked by Sombra, and everything cooldowns are less, payloads move way quicker, respawn times are faster. But it ended up making the balance of like game modes unfair. Where like if you get team wiped, if you lose one fight, that's almost game over because the payload is now moving way. It's almost like on the other side of the map. It's like well, fuck. Well, fuck.
You explained the core concept of it, and I, from my history of playing Overwatch, I was like, yeah, that sounds like a horrible idea.
Yeah. Anyway,
shout out to Sombra though.
Nope.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Yep, I would. Would.
It's a bummer that the only Mexican character in that game is a character that I fucking hate because I
Amiga.
hate fighting against Sombra, Amiga.
Amiga.
Sombra. Anyway, sorry. Let's go into news of the week. We've got one item for you. Of course, tomorrow we've got the Xbox Developer Direct that is happening on all Xbox channels at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Any UK fans here? Or you fans, not fans, I'm sorry, listeners, that's at 8 p.m. your time.
Any fans of the British Kingdom?
The answer is no. No fans of, anyway, United Kingdom. We're going to go over some expectations. We've talked briefly about this before, but maybe now we can go a bit more in depth and kind of speculate because there's maybe some kind of extra stuff happening. Maybe not, but maybe. We don't know. Of course, the first up is we're going to look at Machine Games' Indiana Jones. Going to get a full title reveal, I'm assuming, if that leak is true, whatever, the last circle or the big circle. What was it?
Time is a flat circle.
The Great Circle?
The Great Circle.
The Great Circle?
Yeah,
so. Thanks. Yeah.
Maybe.
And like Dan mentioned, we are getting more than 10 minutes of game and developer insights. What that means, who knows? But we should theoretically be getting snippets of gameplay in some kind of regard or fashion.
Yeah.
Will we get a release date? Based on this verbiage, I'm not maybe fully convinced that we will, but we'll at least have an idea of how far along the game is. How are you guys feeling on Indiana Jones? What are your expectations for the game tomorrow? Will we see some gameplay? Will it look cool?
Yeah.
I'll stop there.
Yeah, I'm very excited, as I alluded to before. Machine Games, awesome stuff. Wolfenstein, loved the last 3 games they made. Well, minus, I wasn't too crazy on the Twins one. I forget what that was called. But
Youngblood or something
Youngblood?
like that?
Youngblood, yes. Yeah. But the other 3, really good. So yeah, I'm just excited to see the tech and see how beautiful they can make this game and if they can make it really a believable world and make it Indiana Jones adventure-y.
The thing is, though, the Wolfenstein games, Wolfenstein, we have to pronounce it the correct way. Those are first-person games.
Yeah.
Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Would this theoretically be Machine Games' first third-person? Because I can't imagine an Indiana Jones game in first-person. You could do it, of course. But I don't know. I would not.
That's what I'm most curious about. Yeah. I would prefer. I usually tend to prefer third person, especially for cinematic adventure romps kind of thing. But that is what I'm most curious to see. Actually, Christian, that you bring that up, is to see if it is just a first person shooter. But like, is that Indiana Jones? Is that his vibe? I don't know. Like it'll be interesting to see how they swing that. Yeah.
How they swing that.
How they swing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Incredible.
I'm also curious because this is like the first Indiana ever. Is it the first Indiana Jones game ever?
I don't think so. There's old ones. Yeah.
Okay, I will say this: it's the first Indiana Jones game in a post Tomb Raider reboot and Uncharted world. Like, we're now full circle on all of these influences. Like, what is that going? We haven't even gotten like a game like of that kind of tone, genre, whatever, in a long time. I'm sorry, take that back. Shadow of the Tomb Raider was like 2019, but I never played it. I'm sorry, I didn't have Game Pass then. I'm kind of missing games of like that, and I'm kind of curious to see like what a game like that for the first time in like 5 years or so is going to look like. Maybe Guardians of the Galaxy kind of fits that a little bit, but anyway.
Yeah, that was a good game. I enjoyed that.
I enjoyed that game as well. Next is one I can't speak to as much because I've never played an Obsidian game, but of course we have a lot of expectations here on this podcast for Avowed. I'm sorry. What do they make? Outer Worlds?
Outer Worlds,
Fallout New Vegas,
South Park, The Stick of Truth.
Swine.
Oh, okay, hold on. I played like an hour and a half of South Park Stick of Truth, and I was like, cool.
What? My game just got worse.
Cool. I'm gonna go back to RDR2.
There we go.
Wow.
You can't knock me there.
Wait, the Stick of Truth. I just did the meme. The Stick of Truth came out in fucking 2013.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not saying I played it when it came out, Daniel.
RDR2.
I had the discs for RDR2 and South Park in front of me. I'm like, oh, I missed this South Park game. Let me try it out. Gotcha. Anyway, I digress. Avowed. Are we excited for this? We've seen what, like one trailer for it.
Everyone's excited for this except for you because people have played Obsidian games and know what they're made of. If this is the video game version of you being like A24, I'll just catch the next blockbuster, thanks. I'll wait for the next Michael Bay movie.
Yeah, all right, I'll take that back. Fallout New Vegas, I know is like a critically lauded game.
Yes, one of the best Western RPGs of all time, for sure.
I'm sorry I was poor and jobless in the early teens.
Make it about classism. That's real classy, Christian.
I was telling Daniel that in high school I used to save most of my lunch money over time, so then I could like use my leftover money to buy games. Man, the one day in November, that must have been like November 13th, 2013, I think it was the day, when 3 games came out. Uncharted 3, Battlefield 3, and Modern Warfare 3. I think were the 3. Something like that. And a lot of decisions to be made.
Oh.
Huh?
I
saved for 2.
Okay.
It was Battlefield and Uncharted.
Wow.
It's funny because you know what? I had that dog in me too at that age. I had that hustler's mentality. I remember my grandmother took me to EB Games, which is now GameStop. Has always been GameStop, but that's what they called it up here in Canada. Went to EB Games. She was gonna buy me some new game. I can't remember what it was. And I was like, hold on a second, Nana. You're gonna buy me this new game that's $59.99? She's like, yeah. And I was like, well, can I get like 3 used games that total the same amount? She was like, I guess the economics work on that. And I picked 3 games that I had never even, well, maybe heard of, but like didn't know anything about. And one of them was Fallout New Vegas. The other one was Mass Effect 2. And the third one was a game called, that's the only 2 winners there. And then the third one was a game called Stuntman Ignition, which was fun, but
dude,
it was fun, but it's
shit.
Did I just unlock a core memory for you?
Yes.
Yeah. So I even back then I was like, well, hold on a second, I can stonks this, I can mix and match here.
2 of the 3 of those are friggin' bangers, though. So
I was gonna say that was the best decision I ever made. I can't remember what the new game was that I dragged her out to buy me, but like one of the best decisions I made accidentally, where I agreed on my mind. I was like, wait a minute, I can get 3 games for the price of 1.
Someone in the chat that shall go unnamed, I don't want to out them. Real princesses stole money from others to buy games.
Yeah,
she put kidding.
She put kidding after 4 fire emojis. I don't know if the kidding holds a lot of weight here.
Daniel says, I'm going to put this person nameless. And then says she.
Oh, that's true. Fuck.
Yeah.
Whoops.
A small correction. It was 2011, and it wasn't on the same day. It was the same week. Within a week of each other. Battlefield 3, Uncharted 3, and Modern Warfare 3.
Damn.
Anyway, people are excited.
Yeah.
The other game here in the Developer Direct tomorrow is Ara History Untold. I'm not much of a strategy game guy. I think maybe Daniel is the one that's most kind of into that strategy realm. I think you put a lot of time into like Civilization. No, can't be. No, City Skyline. I'm sorry, it's not a strategy game. It's like right. What would you consider City Skyline?
I'm a huge RTS fan, and I think this is like kind of a mix between maybe City Builder and RTS, from what I remember.
Somewhere in the middle from the trailers, yes.
Yeah. So it sounds interesting. I'm definitely intrigued, but I kind of just have to see more from it before I can kind of stake.
And you will tomorrow, buddy.
Yeah.
Anyway, the
great RTSs. Give us great RTSs again.
Yeah, let's have an RTS renaissance. I'm there with you, Dan.
Yeah.
Or an RTS assance, if you will. That's terrible.
You know what game could kick that off, Dan? Say it with me.
Halo Wars 3. Let's go. Let's do it.
What game are you or me gonna play, Ro?
Geez. Anything that has an anime girl in it.
I was literally just about to say some waifu stuff.
Ro, say it with me, Ro. Kirby Air Ride 2. Thank you. Yeah. Last game in the Developer Direct for tomorrow is Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. And I think this is the one that's going to get this and Indiana Jones, I think, are going to get the meat of the assumed 45 minutes an hour runtime. Especially considering it's been a long time that they've been showing Hellblade 2 Ninja Theory. And it's about time we get some kind of a release date. And supposedly, according to some kind of Street Meat leak, May be the window for Hellblade 2. I saw that fluttering around Twitter. I don't know if it's official. I don't know if it's like that's confirmed. If it was like an actual leak, an accidental like upload. I forget what that was, but I saw that May was a supposed like maybe a target month for Hellblade 2. So we could learn about that tomorrow.
I'm trying to remember if that was in my prediction. If I said Q2, I can't remember now. We won't know until
I'll tell you in December.
Yeah. Yeah, very excited. I'm excited to get the release date finally for Hellblade 2. It's been a long time coming. Fucking 2019, I think they announced it at Game Awards. So yeah, it's very excited. Ninja Theory does great work. Love it.
Of course, the question for expectations here is shadow drops, because we're in a time now where after Xbox shadow dropped Hi-Fi Rush, now these kinds of things are on the table. Could they do another one this year? And well, the answer to this on the official Xbox website is in like FAQ for the direct. When will the games in the show be released? Xbox's answer is all the games in this year's Developer Direct will be arriving later, with more details to be shared in the program. That seems to point toward like don't expect anything else to be at this. However, things can also be hidden for obvious reasons, because they want to shadow drop something. They want to like have the buzz of like, oh my god, and it's available right now. And the answer could be with South of Midnight. Apparently, South of Midnight is up on the Xbox app and storefront to download now. The kind of qualifier here, though, is that a lot of games are able to be downloaded on Xbox consoles even before they release. You just, if they have an official store page, it could just be that, but it also could be something else. The timing is a little bit weird here, gray area. Who knows?
What's interesting is when I searched on the store, it showed like the install or whatever, or download now or whatever for South of Midnight, but then I looked up Indiana Jones, doesn't even have a page up. So it's like, that's interesting, at least.
But Indiana Jones also doesn't have a title yet.
It's true. That's true. Yeah.
Anyway, shadow drops expected here. For me, 50-50. I don't know.
Yeah. I think we'll see a fifth game. I don't think that it's going to be shadow dropped.
Right. Lads, fucking time. You've been waiting for it. The fantasy draft check-in, the first official fantasy draft check-in of the year, is happening now, and already there's tons to talk about. Of course, if you missed it, last week we drafted our initial 5 games each for this year's fantasy draft, and we also announced some new rules for this year's draft. Of course, the first being that the winner of this year's draft is going to get a custom controller with some kind of a combination, permutation, whatever, of PXN 2024 Fantasy Critic Games winner inscribed on that custom controller. The loser will conversely have to either eat 10 pancakes in one sitting at a diner, feel themselves doing it, or eat 10 really spicy wings on camera. What's up, Gage?
We should lock in the punishment. I think if somebody loses and they pick the pancakes, that is a weak man's choice.
Okay, then let's just pick this. I'm picking the wings. Personally, I would pick the wings.
I think it should be the wings, and we should all 4 of us should agree on the sauce that they do, so that somebody doesn't pick Frank's Red Hot and then they call it a day.
We'll be choosing a challenging Scoville level spice level.
Yes, we gotta make it fun for the people at home.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no one else is saying anything, so Gage, it's official. The loser has to eat 10 spicy wings.
It's been. There you go. Lock it in.
All right. This week's updates. We already have a game on someone's Open Critic. I'm not going to say whose because I don't want to. You fucking bastard. This is going to be my pickup. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, releasing later this week, has gotten official scores. The open critic score is at an average of 87. That is netting none other than Halo Infinite will eventually be 343's Halo 3. Publisher, Daniel.
Wait, wrong publisher.
Yeah, I have last year's results, don't I? That link takes you to last year. I'm sorry. Here.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
You're about to read off his final points and say that that's where he's sitting at right now. That nets Daniel 163
Shit.
points.
That's incredible. I'll take it.
Am I on the? Yeah. Okay. ODST Publishing is now netted. Will net. The points aren't official yet. They haven't been locked in. 17 points.
Hell yeah.
Here, let me fix this link here. Sorry.
Let's go.
However, Daniel. Here, sorry, I also included this review image. I want to include some of the scores that the game is getting because it's getting like great. Like they're akinning this to like as transformative of Metroidvania as Metroid Dread was a couple of years ago. GameSpot was at a 9, IGN France at a 9, VGC a 4, VG247 a 4, Games Radar 4, Game Informer 9.5, sorry 9,5. That's weird. Xbox Era 9,5, Easy Allies 9.
I think because overseas they do commas instead of periods, I believe.
Stupid.
That is insane to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about pickups because a lot of people, except for one, had some pickups. All right. Here we go.
Who's the one? Let's call him out right now.
1, 2, 3. Roshan. Oh, okay. I'm the only one.
I didn't know what we were.
Oh god.
If I go to league history, it's presented in a way that's too much. So I'm just gonna read off top to bottom from our draft. Gilbo Biggins drafted 3 games over the weekend.
Tried to draft 5, but I got 3.
Oh.
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Tried to draft 5.
Yeah.
Picked up.
Oh, you
3.
tried?
Yeah. Dan and I had a little battle while we were playing games. We stopped playing games once he found out that I was bidding on things.
Oh my god.
And I heard his keys clacking, and we were literally
this
both
fucking guy.
Right.
He's trying to make it go bankrupt already?
Except I flipped around on him.
Yeah, I might go bankrupt now. Yeah.
Because I told you guys that the last 2 times was part of the plan. I told you that me losing was all part of the strategy to then turn it around for this year. And what did I do? I flipped it around on Dan like a Looney Tunes character, and he wasted all of his money.
Oh, I still got money left. Don't you worry.
You have $40.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Let's do this then. I went through the league history. Now I can see everything. ODST Publishing on the 13th, I believe, picked up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games.
Jesus Christ.
No, I'm sorry. That could be right. 7 games. 7 games.
7 games. Yeah.
7 games Dan picked up. The first being NCAA football reboot. What?
I hope that does so bad.
It's gonna do it
with the minimum bid.
Yeah.
The minimum bid of $5. He also acquired F124 with, of course, the minimum bid of $5.
These fucking picks.
Yeah, he's playing the game.
Yeah.
He then picked up Rise of the Ronin with a bid of $10. Smart you are. And then the Mario vs. Donkey Kong remake with a bid of $10. Also picked up Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater with a bid of $10. No Rest for the Wicked with a bid of $10. And the Untitled Machine Games Indiana Jones game with a bid of $10. I can't wait to counterpick one of these fucking games. Either NCAA, Metal Gear, or Indiana Jones. Because 2 of those ain't coming out this year.
Maybe. We'll see.
Dan only has to pick 3 more games for the entire year.
The rest of the year.
But he needs 2 more counter picks.
I can still swap out too. Yeah.
That's true. But you do have less money.
Yeah.
You have very little money to work with. You have very little wiggle room.
Yep.
And it makes you very happy.
Don't worry. I've got this. I've got this.
I'm gonna look at Gage's next because I want to hear about this. Okay, let's see. Cool. It tells me the successful ones and the failed ones.
Do the failed ones first, so you can
Okay,
see what Dan beat me out on.
You failed to acquire No Rest for the Wicked. You did a minimum bid of 5, and you were outbid by Dan, who did 10.
Right. That one hurt me. That one stung.
That's
a little
it. I don't see any more fails.
Yeah, that was the only one. That was the only one.
Okay, it's the only one, but that's the one I really wanted because that's one of those personal picks where I want that game to do really well. It looks fucking awesome.
I did suss out Deep Rock Galactic Survivor as the game because we were doing this game and I figured out that was the game, so he upped it to $12 and I didn't even bid on it.
You want to know classic Gage luck as well? Is that with my I call it dyslexia. I don't think it's dyslexia. I think I'm just a lazy and fast reader. Is that for some reason I thought that game was just Deep Rock Galactic and that it had always been in early access. So when I was sitting there talking on game chat with Dan, I was hyping myself up like I just got a free 95 points. My God, Dan doesn't know what game this is. It's not on his radar. I bid $12 on this game, and it's like a Vampire Survivors knockoff. And I'm gonna stick with it, but I thought it was the full game, and I was like, man, this is easy money, but it's not. It's a spinoff. So I'm gonna hope that it does well. But
this is the classic case of Gage forgetting the rules because games currently in early access are not eligible for pickups anyway.
Yeah, give it to me. Yeah.
Let's see what Gage did pick up over the weekend. He picked up Replaced with a bid of $5. That's the indie coming in. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Yes, that was a counter pick. Huh. Mm-hmm. What are you betting? It's not coming out this year?
It's not coming out this year, or it's been so long and it's been through development. So for an indie game to be to be delayed this much, I don't know.
Cuphead.
You guys will remember that I had replaced on both of my lists the first 2 years that we did Fantasy League.
Yes.
This game looks promising, but now we're in the troubled water territory. So either it's not coming out or it's going to come out and it's going to get like a 72, I think, unfortunately.
Cuphead got delayed like 12 times over like 4-year period. I believe in this game.
I'm glad you do. It's a win-win for me because if it comes out and it's amazing, then that's a win for me. And if it comes out and it flops, then that's a win for me.
Speaking of flops, Gage staking big on Call of Duty 2024 with a bid of $12. I don't know why I said speaking of flops, but like that is a lot of
a risky move in terms of I don't know, but also you got to read the tea leaves. All right, Treyarch's last game was made on an inferior engine, and people still quite liked it. This is the first Call of Duty game in a very long time that's getting 4 years of development. I know how Modern Warfare 3 is. I paid full price for that game. Trust me, I know. But I got a feeling. That Treyarch might be cooking up something special.
I thought about picking it up, but then I looked at the last like 6 Call of Duty releases. They're all in the mid to low 70s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 3 obviously was like 50.
What was Modern Warfare 2019 though?
That was in the 70s.
Was it really?
Yeah, because that was
OpenCritic.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I looked at. Yeah,
because I know that Black Ops Cold War was in that, but Dan and I were discussing, my logic was that this game was in the old engine after 2 new ones came out, so obviously it was going to get hit that way. Yeah, maybe I
might be wrong. It was 81 Modern Warfare.
Okay, exactly.
But Modern Warfare 2 was like 74, I think, or something like that.
I think we're all right. I think 85. I think we're going to get 85. I'm going to get a cool 15 points from the next Black Ops game. That's what I'm predicting.
And, okay. Sorry, you already mentioned, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. He bid on it for $12. Yeah.
Thinking that it was regular Deep Rock.
Yeah. I went in and picked up 4 games for not a lot of money. I acquired Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail, the upcoming DLC for Final Fantasy XIV, directed by Yoshi P, with a minimum bid of $5. I also staked big on Metroid Prime 4 releasing this year with a bid of $7. The rumor is that it might be releasing either in the summer or might coincide with the release of the Switch 2, which we're assuming is also this year, so I'm kind of hoping it lands. I don't know why I was feeling like extra Nintendo-y. Why not? They've been exploring their IP, doing interesting stuff with it, and their Metacritics have all been good. So I grabbed Princess Peach Showtime with a minimum bid of $5. And then Surprise, we all forgot about this game during the draft. I got Metaphor ReFantasio with a bid of $6. The original Persona and SMT developers. Yeah. Exciting.
Ro, what's left? What are you gonna bid on? We took it all. We took them all.
I can't do anything. I do have a bid in for
Something.
Saturday.
What is it?
I could tell you. No, I'm not going to tell you. But can't you look at the history, or you can't look at it until it goes through on Saturday?
Correct.
Until it goes through. Yeah.
Got it.
But you're also like in no rush because we have 11 months to go.
Exactly.
That's what you guys said last year. I bid a lot of early games last year.
It's true.
And you also have NCAA football reboot.
Have you looked at the hype for that game? It was pretty high. Pretty high. First NCAA
All you're missing is the
football.
Warhammer game, unless you already
It
have
depends.
one.
I think it depends on where your geography. I think in Kentucky that people would be real excited for something like NCAA.
Holy
football.
shit. NCAA football 11, granted this was in 2010, that was an 86.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it's been a long time. Like the NCAA games were better than Madden when they were out. And it's been a long time since they've been out because of the whole college paying athletes and such. And they had to take their likenesses out and all kinds of stuff. But
I don't know. NCAA football 14, I think was the last one. That's a 77.
See.
I guess we will. On future episodes of PXN, because until then, let's catch up on what we've been doing this week. Daniel, what you got for me?
unfortunately, nothing new. I've just been playing Halo. So Halo Infinite galore. That's it. I don't need to bore people with continuing to talk about Halo. Me and Gage already did that for 10 minutes earlier.
Incredible. Roshan?
Also nothing besides Pokemon. That's it. Fortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, more Lies of P. I also got word that I'm working on 2 games for work. One's an upcoming one. I'm not ready to say which yet. And the other one is another game that I don't think I'm ready to say what game that is either. That one's a previously released game, but anyway, until I actually start it, I'm not going to mention it. But I did get persuaded to play Frog Fractions Game of the Decade Edition on Steam. It's a free game. It used to be a Flash game, now uploaded onto Steam. And you're a frog who has to save apples on his pond by using his tongue to ward off bugs. You eat the bugs, and you can upgrade your frog and his tongue and the
This
lily
sounds
pad.
like right up your alley.
It's almost like a Vampire Survivors. Like every round, it gets crazier and crazier. And then the bugs start shooting projectiles at you. And then some rounds you have to type with your keys to like get rid of the bugs. So you're like typing really quick, but like the bugs are moving really fast, so you can't see what word they're in. I spent 20 minutes playing Frog Fractions, and it was like, this is pretty fun. And then the next upgrade cost 25,000 fruit, and I was at like 20, and I was like, there's no way. I'm getting like 5 fruit per round. I can't upgrade my frog anymore. So I stopped. And that's Frog Fractions.
Incredible.
Gage, what are you playing?
What am I playing? I think I'm done with Elden Ring.
Oh.
I need to play Alan Wake,
Alan
and I
Wake.
need to beat it within a week
You got
because
2
we're gonna
weeks,
have our
right?
game of year
You got 2
year
weeks.
discussions
2 weeks.
in
2
2
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah. So
Okay.
get to it.
Either way, I now that I'm back to work, I don't have so much time to play, so I need to get started on that.
Okay.
I haven't beat the campaign of Elden Ring.
Here's what you do. Complete the Ronnie quest.
I did. I think. I don't know because this game doesn't fucking tell you anything.
Look, you'll know if you have a certain sword that we can talk about in private.
Is it? Well, no. Let me just because is it the Moon Greatsword or something like that?
Fuck yeah. Okay. Beat the
Okay.
game.
Well, I'm gonna.
Go beat the game now.
I'm gonna try. So pretty much what you're saying is I've done what I needed to get a certain ending now. That was the whole point of me doing the Ronnie's quest.
I'm not going to point you in any direction for any ending, but that one is for one ending, yes. But there are multiple endings you can get, and the Ronnie one is one of the best ones. You just now have that option open to you. I wanted that option open to you. That's it.
Okay. Well, we'll see if I actually roll credits on it, because I'm at the point now where I'm kind of my momentum's dying down a little bit. I think I'm at the final.
No, motherfucker! You need to go find the 2 hidden medallions, put them together to take the secret elevator.
I already did that.
You fought Melania.
No, I didn't fight Melania yet. I will do that, but I want to do that. I want to do that for the first time with you on stream, like watching my Discord stream or something like that. Because I've not.
Yeah, easy.
I've seen memes about it, but I've not watched any like videos on it, and I know it's going to be a shitstorm. So I'm saving that for one time when we're all on Discord. I want you to watch me fucking struggle.
Okay.
But yeah, winding down on Elden Ring, but that is what I have been playing this last few weeks, but less and less each time I boot it up. And I think we're for real this time going to start Alan Wake 2 and get ready to ride that.
Natalie says Elden Ring exhaustion is so real. Also, she says, Ro, I have so much money betting on your victory this year, my entire mortgage.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you shouldn't put that much money, but I appreciate your confidence.
Ro's a dark horse for all every single like fantasy draft.
I'm always third, so that's.
I know, but there's a while where it gets scary.
Wait, who's always last?
Oh.
Incredible.
But thank you. I appreciate it. I will win, so you don't have to lose your house.
It's called strategy.
All right, let's wrap up the show with our topic of the show this week. Suicide Squad. That's a game that's coming out from Rocksteady. Are people excited? Turns out, actually, yes. A lot of people who played the alpha test have come out now and said, we actually kind of liked it. The critics are divisive. They don't like it as much. Now, why am I talking to you about this? Why am I thought the alpha test had an NDA. Well, let me tell you, Johnny,
Timmy,
Glenn, Genki. The official word from Rocksteady is that the after these preview events came out from big publishers like IGN, Game Informer, etc., there was demand from the public to be like, well, okay, hold on. You already had the preview event that is like a similar build from the alpha, and now you're having like online discussions about it. Why can't we talk about it too? Rocksteady listened and was like, you know what? If you played the alpha, you can talk about it now. The only thing you can't do is obviously share screenshots and share footage from your play session. I don't think any of us did. But now we can say that, yes, us four did in fact play Suicide Squad, killed the Justice League, and now we have our own thoughts to share. I don't want to go first, though.
I want to go first only for the format of this discussion. I did not play with you three. You three had a secret session where I was purposefully not invited.
That's
right?
not
Correct.
True.
Yes. No. Correct. And
No.
I also think if I'm guessing, I probably played the least amount of anything. So I did not play this game enough to get a negative opinion of it, which I think is the general consensus of the four of us. I don't know what you guys are gonna say, how you guys felt about it. I played it and I was like, hey, this seems like every other Avengers type looter shooter co-op game. Very indifferent on it, and I don't really have. I think I played about 45 minutes of it, so I want to get that out there so that you three can now. I'm gonna do the Rashan thing when the three of us talk about like a shooter. I'm gonna sit in the back, let you guys go ham.
Yeah, I can go next because I think I might be slightly more positive on it than Ro and Christian. Maybe. We'll have to see. We'll find out. But yeah, my impressions of the game were, I don't think that the game should have been made as what it is. Like there's nothing unique about playing as King Shark and using a gun to shoot things. Like you're literally just shooting guns with all the characters. There's nothing unique about that, and that to me is the biggest missed opportunity, because like if they had custom abilities for King Shark, like King Shark can fucking just like, I don't know, come out of the ground and like eat people. I don't know. Something crazy with King Shark. I just think that's the biggest thing.
Like a melee focused character,
yeah,
instead of
exactly
everyone shoot guns.
Right. Like it literally is just a third person shooter, action game, and that's fine. Like what you're saying, Gage. I don't think that it was necessarily awful, but I don't think that there was anything special about it or made it enjoyable in terms of gameplay. And I think that's my biggest complaint in terms of the actual gameplay. However, when we were playing, I was enjoying every little bit of story stuff that we were getting. Like every single cutscene that we were getting, I was loving it. And like maybe it just hits for me specifically. Like it's that kind of content that it was hitting me nicely. Like all of Harley Quinn's little quips that she would make, I would love. Like I really like the storytelling that they were doing in this, and like the moment to moment, like I don't know, quips back and forth between the characters. And I think that they personally, from the little time we had with them, I thought that they were cast very well. And I very much enjoyed that aspect. So it is disappointing because I don't think the gameplay is good enough to make me excited to want to play this, to experience the story. But maybe if it goes on sale or something down the line, I would pick it up just to experience it, because I do, I have positive thoughts on the story bits.
I can go next to just jump on the story stuff. With the announcement of the game, there's obvious some kind of Suicide Squad exhaustion, because now we've gotten 2 iterations of those in the movie format. Like, did we need a game in this? Like, that's a target conversation that's already been had. But it's worth mentioning because regardless of how enjoyable some of these story bits were, I still found myself being like, well, I still would have preferred if it were like an actual proper Justice League game. Because what I'm playing isn't really what I wanted the direction for Rocksteady to go. Especially not after like the Arkham trilogy and the last game being now 8 years ago, something like that. Like, I wanted something else. But Dan is right, because what is presented there is actually pretty enjoyable. There's a lot of funny moments, not even just from Harley, but King Shark even. I think I'm enjoying this version of King Shark in the game more than I did the James Gunn movie, which even in like 2.5 hours that we played is like already saying a lot, because I'm getting to see a lot more of him like in real time. And that stuff was actually kind of a surprise. I actually should mention I played as Captain Boomerang in our playthrough. I think Dan was Deathshot, and
Can't remember.
Ro was Harley.
I was Harley, I think. Yes.
Yeah, because you were swinging.
Yeah.
And I don't think Dan was King Shark, but he's in the game because you get bots.
I think you were a Boomerang.
I was Boomerang.
You were Boomerang. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Christian, you just reminded me by saying he was swinging. That was one of my complaints as well. Like Harley's mechanic where it allows her to swing. If they would have just been more free about how that usage happened, like you could have had like momentum and like ability, like it would have been like feeling like swinging like Spider-Man. I think that would have been more fun than shoot, cool down for 3 seconds, shoot again. Like, yeah.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned this, because this was where I was going with next. It does not matter how much I'm enjoying the story of this game, because every time it switches back to gameplay, I feel like I'm playing a completely different product. And I say the word product because it feels like an actual product and not a piece of art or storytelling, where it feels like I'm playing, as Gage mentioned, kind of a run-the-mill, like this is just like your general looter shooter now placed in a franchise I'm familiar with. And the big thing was like, yes, even though traversal is kind of enjoyable, the opening tutorial section has you forcibly playing as 4 of these separate characters, which all move similar, but also different enough with their like long traversals that I'm having to remember combos for traversal for 4 different characters at the same time, and then have to do combat with each of these sections. And it's like, this is a lot right now. Granted, that's alleviated once you actually get into the main world, like Metropolis. When you pick your character and you're sticking with them, you start to learn that character. But then the gameplay loop is, we go talk to the penguin. We're ramping up to get our gear ready to go fight one of the like infected Justice League members from Brainiac, and it should be exciting. Except the mission is to steal weapons from a cache that is essentially like the Destiny thing that people complained about in Destiny 1. That was, okay, go stand here, fight 3 waves of enemies to unlock the thing. And that was the mission. My gun went from green to blue, and then a cutscene happened. It's like, okay, I'm enjoying the cutscene, but at what cost? Because the gameplay is good enough, but is it fun? For me, the answer was no.
Right. I have a question for. I mean, I guess Dan's the biggest Suicide Squad fan here, or something like that. But I don't know. From a story perspective, what bothers me when they make movies and games based off of the villains is that they always have to rewrite the story in the way that the villains are the good guys. Like, you can never just make a Suicide Squad or a game like that, like where you're doing crimes and doing bad things cooperatively, as the characters are historically known as. It kind of, that's the one thing with this game where, like, I know, Dan, you said you were enjoying the story beats, and you guys, like I said, probably got farther than I did. But that was the one thing where I booted it up, and similar to watching like the original, I think James Gunn's Suicide Squad was a huge improvement over the original, obviously, because the original was fucking a wet blanket. But I immediately thought of the original Suicide Squad, where I'm like, man, whenever they make a video game or a movie or anything that's focused around one of these villains, they always have to fucking rewrite the story to make it so that you're saving the day. And it sucks that in a world where games like Grand Theft Auto exist, that you can't just take a villain character and make a game where you're doing villainous things, and the regular Justice League is after you, trying to stop you, because you're not the Justice League, you're the bad guys.
I think the problem with that is that the whole idea of Suicide Squad is that the fact that they got the chips in their head. Like, the whole base story is the same in all, forms of Suicide Squad. But like, to your credit, I think that they could have done something more interesting, like showing the lead up to becoming the Suicide Squad. Like,
and not have the world-ending stakes and all that.
At the start of the game, because that would be such a cool climactic point in the game where you go from being, the bad guy, and you see yourself fighting these iconic heroes, and then you slowly progress into creating, Waller contacts all of you to create the Suicide Squad, etc.
Right.
They have a hero shot moment pretty early on.
Well,
it is good, but like, for me, like when put into context, like we just started playing this game, doesn't feel earned.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you're talking about the tutorial, and Dan, in the what, 3 minutes that it took you to think of that idea, it's like, would that not work for the tutorial way better if the tutorial was like a flashback and you're playing as all these characters separately, and you're doing crimes, and like you're seeing how they work, and then it cuts to maybe not exactly where it is now, but like, it's crazy that like these ideas, I guess, just phase out or don't get thought of or don't work somehow. But
Ro, you played with us for some time. Sometimes you had some trouble.
Yes, that's a me thing though. I don't think that had anything to do with the actual, because you guys were fine. I think that was more so my computer.
No, Daniel at one point couldn't get ammo to shoot his gun.
Oh, that's true.
That's true.
And that's true. There was some graphical stuff that was probably my computer, but there were a lot of times where I just couldn't jump, and I was just stuck on the ground, and I couldn't get back up there. And as being Harley, I needed to jump so I can activate my traversal thing to get where everybody was fighting. So that is true. There was a few bugs that I ran into that I don't think were actually my fault, and that was one of them. One thing that you may have mentioned, I may have missed, but like the map felt like super empty to me. It just felt like you're going from one mission to another mission, and like, of course, Rashan, that's the point of the map. That's you going somewhere. But like usually there's stuff to do in the middle, like you're exploring, looking for collectibles. Maybe there's a little boss mini fight in the middle. Everything just felt like, oh, I'm just traversing through the sky until I see the mission. I do the mission, and then I go back, traverse. And sometimes it would just be like a cutscene that we would get. Am I crazy for that, or was there like sometimes I felt like there was not even a mission at the end of the destination. Like we would get a thing, and then we would go somewhere else, and then the mission
do the next
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
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 So that would be weird.
All
It's like-
stand in the circle.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
To get the cutscene.
exactly. Yeah, so stuff
And-
like that was like really
And you
annoying.
couldn't get to the circle because you were
Yeah,
stuck
like-
on the ground. We
Oh my
couldn't
God,
jump.
I couldn't even enjoy that. I was just couldn't even enjoy the circle standing. But I agree with what both of you guys are saying about the characters not really feeling unique. It feels like you could kind of replace those characters with anybody. If you wanted to do a soulless third-person shooter, you could replace it with another, like a soulless third-person character if you wanted to. These don't feel like Harley and those types of characters. They just feel like a character that you could shoot a gun with. And if you're going to be a looter shooter, at least make the loot exciting, which to my knowledge, I haven't seen anybody find like a, for lack of a better term, a Gallowhorn or something really cool that would want you to would want you to chase. Like if you're chasing loot in your looter shooter, that's a good looter shooter. You're wanting to get the loot, but if there's nothing for you to chase, what's the point of making it a looter shooter besides the obvious money making things that come with looter shooters right now? Yeah.
To your credit, Ro, IGN confirmed that there are Riddler trophies are returning. So like that is a side activity that you can do. So final product, your kind of critiques are going to be answered in that. I mean, we played like the opening, so I guess that makes sense. But like, yeah, in the final product, there is going to be some more stuff added. But is that going to be enough, though? Who knows? Because
people love that for their Arkham games.
Riddler trophies aside, the maps did still feel kind of empty. I'm with you there.
I mean, a Riddler trophy, I don't know what that entails, but that sounds like a collectible that could be in any type of game. That doesn't really sound like anything that's playing to the strengths of the genre, right? Like,
sure.
And unfortunately, Ro, I've got an inkling that part of the reason why all these characters feel the same and they all play the same is that they could theoretically then add any character they want as post-launch DLC and not have to worry about making new movesets or new traversals or do this or do that. You can just throw them in there, put a gun in their hands, and then you've got a new hero.
That's true. That's a good point.
And to Christian mentioned that maybe we're feeling Suicide Squad fatigue, right? With like already having 2 movies out, where probably there's been animated movies and stuff like that. And to that, not that I necessarily disagree, it's just that we've had 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies as well, and the Guardians of the Galaxy game was quote unquote good. Like people like that game.
Yeah.
So it's just that they put this game in a really bad genre for the type of game that it is, that people are like, I don't want this right now. If they had made like a better Suicide Squad game or a game in a genre that better suited it, maybe we wouldn't feel that fatigue right now. Because not only are we feeling superhero fatigue, we're feeling games as a service fatigue, we're feeling looter shooter fatigue. So it's all like coming together in one. So
hell, there was another Guardians of the Galaxy game too by Telltale. Obviously, very different game, but yeah.
Oh right.
I think you hit the nail right on the head, Rashan. Is that unfortunately this game seems to be the perfect storm, the culmination of all these different conditions, where it's like because it's so uninspired and there's not much to think about when you're playing the game. You're thinking about all these other factors about, wow, I've really seen these characters a bunch already, and they all kind of feel the same, and oh wow, I've played this type of game a lot recently, and they all feel this, and it's just kind of all.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and I do agree with Dan about the story stuff, because I did think that was cool. Like when Wonder Woman showed up, I was like, "Holy shit, she looks awesome!" And I like that character. But as soon as she showed up, I'm like, the only thing I could think of is like, wow, I can't wait for the Wonder Woman game that's coming out. That's a single person action adventure game.
Yeah.
Hope she looks this cool and plays.
Starring Gal Gadot, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
the one thing we kept saying, Gage, stop. The one thing we kept saying after like a bunch of these cutscenes where we're seeing these characters from the Justice League we would leave these cutscenes thinking, cool. I wish we could play them though. Dude, do you know what I mean?
Oh my god. I literally thought, like, to expand on my idea from earlier, like, if they would have made this, this could have been so good that you could have started the game as the Justice League, playing as all the different characters on Justice League and, you know, doing whatever missions or whatever with them. Then you switch perspective to Suicide Squad members and you're doing crimes and all of that kind of stuff. And then big event happens. You start to see the heroes get picked off one by Brainiac. And as the shit just keeps unfolding more and more, then Waller creates the Suicide Squad, puts the chips in your head. That's like the climax of the story. You go through, you're trying to, you know, fight your way to the end. In the fucking end, you save, quote unquote, the Justice League from Brainiac. But then the Suicide Squad still has their own motivations, and they somehow get the chips out of their heads. They fight the Justice League, who are now not indoctrinated. You take over as the Justice League to fight the Suicide Squad members. You were just, fuck! Why didn't we get that?
But you know what? Even that simple idea of starting the game with regular Justice League characters and then re-encountering them later in the game as the Brainiac versions, that's kind of a cool juxtaposition where you could kind of be like, oh, this guy's not acting the same as he was in the opening, or oh, he's dropping F-bombs now. He never used to do that. Like, you know, stuff like that. I mean, that's subtle. That's like subtle storytelling that you could do, but instead pick up this gun that's green because it's better than gray.
Right.
and in a world where like studios have like balls to do stuff, the marketing for that game wouldn't have even mentioned the Suicide Squad. Like, it would have been marketed as a Justice League game. Yeah. And how cool would it have been to have the rug pulled under you and have play the back half as Suicide Squad, and then at the end, you could play back as the Justice League again. Like, that would have been something that's really cool.
I don't want to get off topic, but I have to mention it. Rashan and I talked about this so much, where this is what I said about The Last of Us Part 2. The game should have just been advertised as an Abby game, and then you get in there and you realize everything that goes down. I think like, some of these game developers are already comfortable lying to people's faces, so let's just if you're gonna do it, just take the extra step and do cool bait and switches like this. It would have been so, like, I think of the first trailer of Abby in the forest with the attempted execution. It would have been so cool if they just kept up that kind of marketing, and then obviously you'd have to re-sort out the story a little bit, and then to come in and have a bait and switch like that would have been so cool. But I agree with you, Christian. That would have been really cool for this game specifically.
That bait and switch, very similar to like Assassin's Creed 3, which had Haytham Kenway. You played as Haytham Kenway. They marketed him as the protagonist, and then you fucking play like 2 missions or whatever with him, and it switches to Connor Kenway, and you find out he's actually the protagonist and he was the antagonist. Oh,
which is why Assassin's Creed 3 is one of the best, if not the best, Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Subjective. I do want to add before we close conversation is that IGN Destin Laguerre got a lot of flack, and I think not justifiably, in my opinion. People are kind of like really owning this dude on like TikTok and Twitter, making fun of like his. I think the IGN preview happens in the like subsequent 2 to 3 hours after where ours ends, because there's a boss fight with the Flash that IGN played, and they were making fun of Destin Laguerre for him saying that his complaint with the Flash boss fight was that the indicators is not obvious for where the Flash is, 1, and 2, how to counter him is not obvious or not done well. And to his credit, he had to make a separate video that showed in slowed down time how much of a reaction you had to counter-attack the Flash, and he counted the frames, and it was equivalent to less than a second for your brain to realize that an attack is coming, to process it down to your thumbs, and to push that whatever button it was to counterattack. That is not long enough for anyone. Destin is 100% justified in his complaints there.
This is how I felt playing Spider-Man 2. It wasn't like that at all. But that for some reason that game was my kryptonite. That's how it felt. So, but not excusing it because it needs to get fixed. But I watched that clip. It's very clearly a bug or like a coding error where the timing is of when you get the indicators off, because it persists after the attack for like a good second and a half. So clearly it just needs to be like scaled on the timeline, so to speak, if you're thinking of video editing terms. Like they just need to grab it and bring it back a bit. But Still not an excuse, obviously. Like, that's, again, this is another instance of a core mechanic of a game not working correctly at not launch, but you have shipped this product to reviewers. This is something that you've packaged. Again, as we talk about a million times, usually not the devs' fault, almost never the devs' fault, but the CEOs of this company who have final say on this product. You've shipped it out to reviewers in this form, in this way, so people are going to talk about it, and you deserve the criticism that you get based on the thing that you've delivered to everybody. So, yes, this is another instance of a core gameplay mechanic not working when it should be.
Closing us out here on our topic of the show, alpha test impressions of Suicide Squad. I left that gameplay experience surprised that it was better than I had anticipated it being, but overall still pretty disappointed for where Rocksteady is taking their next game, because at the end of the day, I wasn't really having that much fun or engaging with the game the way I wanted to, and it was pretty run of the mill compared to a lot of other products that you can play right now, and it didn't stand out enough for something that I would want to be interested in.
Agreed. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Can I mention something?
Please, yeah. Everyone.
It's
your show.
There was some comparisons. I think we have SkillUp's link in the documents, but I watched this thing earlier, his video on it, and he brought up the Avengers a few times, which is a game that for more or less I enjoyed, but for the same reasons I disliked it, I'm seeing it a lot in show those cons that I saw in Avengers show up a lot here in Suicide Squad, with like the map and traversing between areas, but like the core gameplay and the story and those sorts of things is what I liked about Avengers. But like the open world stuff, the stuff that didn't need to be there, just brought it all down. I feel like that's what's happening with Suicide Squad, unfortunately. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of DC fans that enjoy the story, but like everything else around it is going to like just taint it, unfortunately, which I don't know. Why do they do this? Why do they do this?
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look up Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, all cutscenes, 4K on YouTube.
Hell yeah.
And enjoy it that way.
Yep.
I might join you.
And you can join us every single Wednesday, because folks, thank you again to everyone joining us live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your pods. Thank you, Roshan. Thank you, me. Thank you, Gage. That's Daniel. And this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out.
Much love and keep on gaming.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Daddy?
Hmm?